Hello, friends. Shalom. Rich here at the Gospel Rescue Mission with Forging Past the Felony, Lesson 4. Now, if you haven't seen the other three, that's fine. We'll have videos out on those pretty shortly. However, you don't need to start at Lesson 1. These are not progressive. We do have 4 different lessons. Now, we do have homework and some paperwork we can email you if you are so interested in learning more about what we're doing here at the Gospel Rescue Mission with those who have felonies on their record. The challenge is, life can be difficult. It is full of challenges. And it can be even more challenging, though, if you have a felony on your record. When people look that up, when they hear your history, all of a sudden judgments come in. It doesn't really matter what your felony is. People will assume you're a violent felon until they get to know you and experience it. So how do you get past all that? By being a person of character, a person of great virtue. And this course is designed to help you become that person of great character and virtue so people would quit judging where you're at. Now, historically, we have done these on Facebook Live, so you can go back and look at some of the previous variations of this. We're starting to do these recordings so that way I can be more present with those who want to experience this live. So we'll be having those live on Mondays at 4 p.m. at the Gospel Rescue Mission in Muskogee, 323 Callahan. Love to see you there. So we start off this lesson 4, by trying to determine your motivation. Now, motivation happens when you see something really exciting. You see a video, or you hear a speech, or you hear a specific quote, or you have this motivation to apply for a certain job. You get all excited. But sometimes that just kind of dies out. And so how do you build this in your life? Well, you build it up by having more expectancy and more value in your life, and less impulsiveness and less delay. So let's look at this real quick. Expectancy. Do you expect to accomplish getting past that felony? Do you expect to get that job? Do you expect to have that healthy, good relationship? How much do you value that relationship, that job, that place? So if you put a number value there, we're going to come back to that. One of the dangers that I have seen is maybe you value sobriety. You highly value your ability to get past these things. You really have a value there. But too many in our culture say, well, you're just the way you are. Just accept the way you are. So your expectancy becomes very low. You know, there's those who say you can never get past it. Once an addict, always an addict. It's kind of a standard mindset. You're guaranteed to relapse. We actually had someone recently diagnosed with some sort of diagnosis that they're just constantly going to be relapsing. Well, when that happens, the danger of that is that your expectancy becomes really low because you don't think you could actually overcome it. So your expectancy becomes, say, a 2, where your value is an 8. That's only 16. If you multiply that out across the top. And then if you're still highly impulsive, well, why should I even try? You become impulsive. You just do what you feel like doing. You know, the true measure of success is that you do things when you don't feel like doing it. And then you don't do things when you do feel like it. You start to overcome that. You have this character, this desire in you to do well. But oftentimes our impulsiveness is striking back with fists or mean words or bad behavior, whatever that, punching the wall, destroying property, whatever that is, that impulsiveness. And then delay is, I'm going to do this next week. I remember when I was in my addiction, I would say, I'm going to quit next week. Next week never came. The more you delay, the higher that number gets. So let's look at this real quick. Expectancy. So let's say you do have that expectancy because you have these other agencies coming at you. You got a 2. Your value, though, you really value it. So let's say it's an 8. So that's your 16. And then impulsiveness, though, you're highly impulsive. Ooh, you're highly impulsive. So you got a 10 there, and you're not willing to do it. You want to do this next week, next month. You're going to someday. You don't even have a timeline, just someday. That's a huge delay, so that's a 10. So now you got 16 over 100. That's very low. It's 8 over 50. It's 4 over 25. So 4 25ths. That's not even good. That's not even a 1 on your motivation scale. But let's look at this. I believe you can change. You are not a product of always having to have your addiction. You can get past it. You can experience freedom. You can be free of the past anger issues, the standard behavior, and you can change. It is possible. So you got an 8 there, and then value, you highly value it. So you got a 10 there. So now you got 80. That's a big number up there. And then impulsiveness. You're lowered your impulsivity because you're thinking, you know what, if I can put off this anger a little bit, if I can put down this a little bit, then maybe I can be successful. You put down this delay, I'm going to do it now. I'm going to do it right away. So you got a 10, you got a 1 there, so you got a 80 over 1 ultimately, or 80 over 2, that's a 40. That's much higher than that other percentage. We want you to go forward with high levels of motivation, high expectancy, high value, low impulsiveness, and low delay. That's how you end up getting to success. So our agenda for this particular class today will be to look at self-examination, self-evaluation. We're going to take a look at ourselves so we can get better at what we're doing. And then we're going to take a quick look at time management as well. These are important skills if you are going to be successful. Now, the way to get started is to quit talking and begin doing. So I'm going to give a lesson, but I'm going to challenge you to get started. If you're watching this class, and I can email you the paperwork that comes with this, that has the homework, some other questions to ask, some things to work through, so that way you can begin doing. I was raised on the edge of St. Louis, and so we always knew Missouri. Their statement was the show me state. Are you just a person of words? No, you got to be a person of action. Change happens when you take action. The first action we're going to talk about today is examining your life. The unexamined life is not worth living. Now, there's a great debate among many people that I've known about who is the greatest in basketball history. I still think it's Michael Jordan. Some have raised Kobe to that level, and others they think, well, they are the greatest. But regardless of who you consider to be the greatest, one of the amazing things is that even though they were all great at what they did, they all had a coach who was telling them, encouraging them, inspiring them, directing things. Could you imagine being the guy who said, well, Michael Jordan, you're just not quite doing that right? Well, that's what we need in our life. We need someone speaking into our life. And we have 2 tools that we can send to you. The first one is self-examination. And this is just taking your virtues, your character. What are the things you want to live up to? And then at the end of each day, you kind of go across and say, am I living what I say? So I have things like the Boy Scout laws. Scout is trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent. And I say, am I living those? I just do about 3 or 4 a day. And I kind of go through those. Am I being trustworthy today? Am I being loyal today? Am I being helpful today? Am I being friendly today? How did I do that? And then I'll say, how did I do? And then I think, well, how can I do tomorrow a little bit better? 1% of your day trying to get better at those areas. That's only 14 minutes of my day. 1% of my day is a little over 14 minutes. I'm going to apply those lessons that I learned from examining my life. I take a look at virtues, the 7 deadly sins. Am I violating those? The fruit of the Spirit. Am I living according to the fruit of the Spirit? You can look at all sorts of different standards, whatever standards you want to set, but you ask yourself, am I really living according to the standards that I believe? The other tool that we have that we like to share is called self-evaluation. And a self-evaluation is 7 questions. You're going to look at a specific choice and then evaluate, why did I make that choice? And so the questions are is what did you choose to do? So this is the actual choice. I chose to wear a baseball cap today. What did you want? I wanted to cover my head because a couple years ago now, my mother-in-law saw a red spot on my head, thought maybe I was getting some cancer, and so I started wearing a hat. Turns out some other things were going on, but I was thinking I don't want to have skin cancer. I'm going to protect my balding head. Well, the results of your choice. Well, my head is covered. Sometimes I look a little bit younger than I actually am, so that helps out in that regard. I don't have to fix my hair, which I didn't have to do a whole lot anyway before that. What are the results of your choice? Again, I don't have those red spots on my head. My skin is doing a lot better because I've been wearing this hat. And I've also, people recognize me with it. And if I want to kind of go incognito, I can take the hat off and people don't notice me the same way. What effect does your choice have on the environment? Well, it affects those around me because I feel more playful. I feel more relaxed when I'm wearing a ball hat. I'm not as serious as when I'm not wearing a hat. And so it has a positive impact on it. Does your choice draw you closer, further from the standard of Christ likeness? Jesus took care of himself. He walked through the desert. We don't know how he covered his head. We don't know a lot of that as far as skin care goes, but we do know that skin illnesses were a big thing, and so they did what they could to protect themselves. And so I think it draws me closer to Christ likeness. I want to be around. I don't want to be spending a lot of time with doctors, those sort of things. Necessarily what you plan to change. I plan to change my hat once in a while, but other than that, I'm going to go forward. So that's self-examination, self-evaluation. I recommend doing a self-evaluation a couple times a week, doing a self-exam every single night before you go to bed. Part of my PM bookends that I talk about in another lesson, part of my evening situation is that I do a short Bible study, a short devotional, then I examine my life. I have an evening journal exercise, and then I can go read and get myself ready for bed. But that's just part of that standard. Do it every single day. Evaluate your life so you can get a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better. Time management. We are either managing our time or our time is managing us. I suggest that it's in our best interest to learn how to manage and control and plan for our time. Now, this box that you have on this slide is designed officially by Stephen Covey and 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. You can go into detail and see all of that. You can watch, there's lots of YouTube videos, a lot of training opportunities to learn how to use this box. I'm going to give a quick jump on this. I also like to point out that this was not his original invention. It was originally done by General Eisenhower. And I like to imagine as he was preparing every day for that D-Day invasion, for other follow-on, other things he was working on, that he had this box in mind as he was deciding his part in that whole process. So in this box, you have 4 different sections. You have urgent and important. You have not urgent and important, and I want to suggest our best bet is always to live above the line. Do everything you can to live in that important section. Why waste your life doing anything that is unimportant? And you say, well, I want to watch TV. Well, TV can be put into your box too as an entertainment, as a relaxation, but you schedule the time. I'm going to watch from this time to this time, or I'm only going to watch one show. I'm only going to watch one night. Some that can be a little dangerous, but take some time, figure that out, but you got to live above the line as much as you can. We also have the urgent and not important box, and then the not urgent, not important box. So let me kind of walk you through this a little bit. Box 1, this is firefighting. This is a crisis. This is your car breaking down alongside the road. This is your heart attack, some injury happening in your life. Now, the thing in this box is that you can reduce the odds of these things happening. You can't completely get rid of it. This is one of those boxes you just cannot completely eliminate. So box 1, you can lower the odds of a heart attack by doing something in box 2. I can lower the odds of a heart attack by eating right, exercising, getting good sleep, breathing correctly. All those sort of things are great tools that you can do to lower your odds of a heart attack. Now, you still might have it. You might have some condition that requires that, makes that happen, but your odds go down. I can reduce the odds of me breaking down, my car breaking down alongside the road. That would be a box 1 if it breaks down. And I can't guarantee that whatever I do is going to prevent it, but every weekend, either Saturday or Sunday, sometimes I'll do it on Friday night, or sometime over the course of the weekend, I am checking all the fluids on my cars. My car, my wife's car, and I'm checking to make sure everything's right. I'm cleaning the windshield. I'm checking the tire pressure. I'm just doing a basic overall view of it. As time comes forward that I need to have an oil change done, I'll make sure that gets done. Get all my fluids checked. I make sure all those are good. So I lower my odds of being broken down alongside the road. I can't get rid of it, but I can lower the odds. I can move it over to box 2. Now, box 2 is your planning box. You're saying, what's important in my life? What's important now? What's important today? I like to plan for a whole week. So what's important this week? I like to one of the courses that I took called a Carpe Weekum. I'm going to seize the week. And so I take the week and I say, what am I going to do on Monday? So that way, at the end of the week, I am a lot better than I was when I started the beginning of the week. I'm improving. I'm growing. I'm hoping to be at least 10% better every single week. And so what am I doing physically, mentally, spiritually, socially? What am I doing to be successful? I'm looking at my calendar a month out, 2 months out. What do I got to do this week? So that way, that event is not a stressful moment later on. It's not stressful. Remember, if I'm living all my time in box 1, I'm living under stress. I got a lot of pressure. If I got stress, I have difficulty in relationships. If I got stress, I got health issues coming up. So I want to move as much as I can to this not urgent and important box. This is your planning box. Do as much as you can in there. Now, box 3 is other people's issues. Usually other people's box 1. They want to dump their troubles and their challenges, their difficulties on you. They want to take your attention, and you have no say, apparently. But you can say, you know what? I'm only going to answer my phone from this time to this time. I'm going to check messages. I'm going to return calls. I always return calls. If you leave me a message, just let me know. But this box 2, I cannot completely get rid of. I remember once that I was working at a different shelter than I'm at right now. I'm at the Gospel Rescue Mission in Muskogee, but at one point I was at a mission in Spokane, Washington, and the building itself made a bit of a U, and our main office was in the corner of a U. We're kind of in there. I was looking out the window. I saw a young lady come across the parking lot. Now, I didn't plan on anybody coming in. I had other things to do. I just happened to notice her coming across. I thought, well, I'm going to have to check her in. I have to change my schedule a little bit. She's a little bit would be a distraction, but I kind of got that into my schedule, so it's not a huge deal. But she would have been a little bit of a distraction. But then she comes out in the middle of the parking lot and she just stops. Well, that's a little unusual. And most people see the giant sign says office, but maybe she can't see it. So I'm going out to check on her. And as I'm coming out the door, I see that she's slitting her wrists. And I was like, oh no. So now this was not on my schedule, not on my plan, but I couldn't say, why don't you come back some other time and we'll deal with this. No, I had to meet with her right at that moment. It's an emergency. I used my first aid skills that I learned in Boy Scouts, and I patched her up. And then I called 911. I had them coming in, and they took care of her from there. But some things I can get rid of. I can move out of box 3 into box 2, and this is the way that would look. See, my box 2, it's important to me that I have relationship with my kids and now my grandkids. But as I'm telling the story, this was all I had with my kids. I didn't have grandkids at that point. But I have my son, and he likes to talk a lot. And I remember we were pastoring a church, and I had to be there at a certain time. And my wife needed to take her shower so she could get there on time. But we got these kids, and I need to help them get ready in the morning. And so I go to my son James, and I say, "Hey, buddy, I need to get you up. Need to get you ready while mom's taking her shower." And he jumps up out of bed. I mean, he's always going. He's like, boom. He's a bundle of energy once he's up. And he would just go, 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 go. Well, he's got a story to tell me. And I look down, and his stuffed monkey Freddy is in a cast. I'm like, oh, boy, he didn't go to sleep when I thought he went to sleep, first of all. Secondly, I'm realizing he's got a story to tell me. Now, my relationship with him is important, but I also need to get him ready. I don't have time for that story. Now, I could let him just tell the story, but am I going to be able to listen? Because I'm so focused and I need to get going. I need to get moving on. Or I could just shut him down. Buddy, shut your mouth. Let's go. I could do that, but my relationship with him is important. My being on time for being at the church is important. So I got this issue coming up. But what I did is I said, hey, buddy, I love you. I love your stories. I want to hear more about what's going on. But I don't have time right now. But I'll tell you what, at 2 o'clock this afternoon, we will sit right here in your room. You could tell me the full story, and I will be yours. I will listen to everything you got to say. And he was happy with that. And all that was important was that I definitely was there at 2 o'clock, sitting in the floor of his room, ready for him to tell me the story. It was about an hour and a half, 2-hour story. He had x-rays drawn up, and he had a great time telling me the story. Maybe with a little more time, he was able to do more. But I've moved him to box 2. He's part of the plan now. Didn't plan it a week out, but I was able to plan. Say 2 o'clock, I got a new plan. Then box 4. Let's look at box 4. Box 4 you can completely get rid of. Any of your time wasting. Again, television, I can schedule that. Surfing the internet, I can schedule that. Other entertainments, I can schedule that. No reason to do anything in box 4. So a part of the homework is going to be evaluating your time. Spend a week. I got up at this time. So this morning I got up at 3 a.m. From 3 to about 3:06, I was kind of getting myself ready, drinking 16 ounces of water, putting on my workout clothes. If I don't put it on right away, some of that wouldn't happen. So now it's just part of my pattern, part of what I do in the morning. 3:06, I am starting my first journal exercise of the day. And I do a little journal exercise. And then usually about 3:20 or so, I'm starting my first prayer and devotional time. And I have this time of reciting scriptures and getting my head right for the day. And then about 3:40, after some prayer and meditation, I go on a little workout. It's my daily workout. I do that every day about 3:40. And then by 4, I'm back in the house and I'm reading the Bible, and I have a rhythm for every single day. So just what do you do about every 20 minutes? What have I been doing? And then at the end of the week, you do this for a full week. Got up at this time, I went to bed at this time, everything in between. Then I evaluated how many hours I spent sleeping. I might need to change that. I might need to change my schedule so it's hard to fix some of that. I need to eat better. I need to exercise better. I wasted a lot of time this week. I got a lot of stuff in box 4. I just put it in the right boxes. Spent too much time in box 1 or too much time in box 4. I got to adjust it. So the next week when I do my planning, I take that all into consideration so I can have a better life. So take a whole week, manage that time, do a few self-evaluations, few self-assessments this week, and get started with your life. And you will experience freedom. You will experience a new life above and past your felony. Again, if you have questions, don't hesitate to reach out to the Gospel Rescue Mission. We will serve you any way we possibly can. Have a great day.